I was saying that isn't it the same as pedophilia because...
This is like spicy tearing. So like...
I mean, no. I mean, it could be. But what I'm saying is that these people that are pedophiles, yeah, it's fucked up like that. You are attracted to like to these vulnerable kids.
Yeah.
And it's just like a sexual urge that you have. That's fucked up. But there's a certain amount of pedophiles that have those urges, but they recognize that they have those urges and they do something about it. And I actually saw like an episode of a TV show.
We should probably react to.
It's called The Good Doctor. It's a great fucking show.
I've heard about it.
Fuck, it's good. Anyway, in that show, there's this patient that is a pedophile, and he goes to the medics and asks for like help because he doesn't want to have those urges, and so that's something that he really cannot resist.
Yeah.
So he asks them to castrate him. Right? He's like, yo, y'all gotta castrate me before I do some fucked up shit. And so it's actually it's like
a moral dilemma.
It's a moral dilemma. It's a very polarized decision. It's a team of surgeons, and half of them say yes, let's castrate him, and the other half are like, no, that's
because it's not ethically correct, but it's morally correct. I would say
it would be morally correct, but I mean,
it's not ethically correct because you're.
But like, how do you justify a castration?
I guess this is where free will comes in.
Okay.
If it's your decision, then you should be able to do with your body whatever the fuck you want. Which is what a bunch of people argue about. Just putting it out there, sprinkling it on top. But yeah, when it comes to pedophilia, I feel like there should be a lot of research towards it.
It should not be encouraged.
It should not be encouraged.
Never.
But it should be researched.
Yes.
Like, I feel like it's something that, like, a lot of people have asked about my opinion on pedophilia, like, in my videos. Because I make a lot of controversial videos when it comes to, like, check out my channel, whatever. But basically, like, that's a topic I have never really, attempted to make a video on, just because there's not enough information towards what causes that, like, urge. Like, I feel like it's definitely way, like, it's not viewed as a normal or good thing, which is good. So people immediately just block that idea from their brains, but it's so interesting to see, like, what actually causes it.
Well, wasn't that the case with gay people like a long ass time ago?
That's what I was about to say, but the thing is, like, with gay people, it's two consensual adults who decide to fuck. Like,
I understand that.
But when it comes to that, like, you're treating a vulnerable, group of
a defenseless human being, yeah. But what I'm saying is that back in the day, back when being gay was punishable by death, which is still it is today in certain places, yeah. But back in the day when it was universal that if you were gay, you were killed. When that was like the rule, there wasn't like a lot of things going into it. It was
just like a norm.
You wouldn't ask a gay guy like, hey, what's going on in your head? Like,
yeah.
You wouldn't study the chemical imbalances, if there is any, in their brains. You wouldn't study the tendencies that they had, how they were raised, like their environment. You wouldn't do any of that.
Here's a question.
That's the thing, and I'm not in any way whatsoever in support of pedophilia at all. But since the moment gay people were started to being accepted into society, we started to understand them more.
Yes.
And I'm not saying that we should accept pedophilia into our society, but
we should try
to study it. Exactly.
Yes. I feel like...
Well, also, there are trends and patterns. Like, for example, if you were molested as a child, you tend to, when you grow up, become a child molester.
I mean, not necessarily. It's more like, if you're a child molester, you were most likely molested as a child.
Exactly.
Not the other way around.
Well, isn't it the same thing?
No.
How are they mutually exclusive, though?
Well, sometimes saying that, like, I don't know how to explain it. I watched a video on statistics about this. I'll link it below because I'm apparently linking a bunch of shit now.
Bro, we're sourcing this shit up. Yes.
Sometimes A plus B equals C, but B times plus A doesn't equal... I don't know how to explain it.
The fuck?
Basically, like, if
that makes no sense.
Yeah, like, how can I put an example? Like, okay, not an example. I'll just explain it further. Like, if you were molested as a child, that doesn't mean that when you grow up you will molest child.
No, it doesn't mean
like that doesn't mean that. However,
but it's probable.
No, like what I'm trying to say is that every a huge percentage of people who molest child, they were molested as a child. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean that every child that is molested will eventually molest child, because then you would have like this spiderweb effect where it'll just be bigger and bigger.
I heard people talk about this. And
wait, hold on. Before we shift into that, I just want to finish something with like the comparison with gay people.
Oh yeah.
It's a touchy subject. Like we don't want to. It's a touchy subject. Yeah, like we don't want to. I guess offend anyone who's gay out there, thinking that we're kind of like pretending they're pedophiles or anything like that.
Nah, bro, I'm not gay, so I don't know what's going on in your head. So I'm like trying to figure the fuck out what's going on.
Yeah,
there.
and like it's like
I want to know.
Pedophilia, it's like people say it's a sexual orientation. Like what I've heard from pedophiles out there, it's like they say
technically a sexual orientation.
I don't know. That's the thing.
Because you're oriented to be sexually attractive to children. That's fucked up.
But that's
horrible.
That's the thing. That's not sexual orientation. Because sexual orientations means what type of sex you like, whether it's a female or a man. Okay. This is specifically kids. Like it's like saying, like I specifically like people who have like thick eyebrows, and I just fuck people with thick eyebrows.
So
like
it's a sexual preference rather than
I would say
orientation.
so. Yeah, because it's like saying it's a sexual orientation, it kind of like devaluates gay people and whoever's on the LGBT like family. Like saying that pedophilia, it's a sexual orientation, it's like kind of putting these two groups in the same level, which I think it's not. Yeah, not that's why they're not deserving, but because that's an issue that should be looked into. Like, when transgenderism was, like, popping up, they were like, oh yeah, they're all fucking gay. And we then realized it's, like, a gender dysphoria. But when it comes to pedophilia, I would really like to know, like...
It's difficult, man.
It's definitely not a sexual orientation. That's something I want to say. Like, I don't want to put someone who's gay, consensual, and wants to fuck the same... Like, a person with the same sex as them to, like, someone who likes to molest kids. Like, it's definitely not in the same range. We may not understand that the way that in the past gay people were not understood, but it's not supposed to be in the same level. Like, that's just something I want to say. Anyways, move to your point. I'm sorry, I needed to put that out there.
I don't even know what the fuck I was gonna say. Like, what was I talking about? Oh yeah. Yeah, we're still on the
topic.
We're still talking about pedophiles. Yeah. But what I heard is that there's a tendency for what I mentioned. Like, there's a tendency for if you were molested as a kid.
Oh yeah.
You can molest, or there's some people that have molested other kids, or that have molested when they grew up. Right. The reason why, I have no fucking idea, but I've heard one of the reasons why it could be is that when they were molested as a child, in their subconscious, they know, obviously, while it's happening, that it's fucked up. And it's like, well, no, this shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, but they kind of get used to it in their subconscious.
I mean, in their subconscious, it's like, okay, so this is happening at a very developmental... I'm sorry, I can't speak. It's happening in a very developmental period of their life.
Yeah.
So, while it's happening, their subconscious is absorbing the information and it's getting accustomed to that kind of environment and that kind of treatment. And so when they grow up, they tend to seek similar environments in which they can employ the same activities, and it wouldn't be as discouraged. And it wouldn't be as discouraged, or it wouldn't be seen at all.
Yeah, and so that's that.
No, and that's where I'm going. Okay. I think we're going to the same place. Yeah. And where that leads them to occasionally is to churches and the Catholic Church, and that's why you see a lot of like priests being pedophiles or being alleged, because
it creates this
pedophiles.
Spider web effect.
Because you have the altar boy with a very close relationship with the priest, and it's a very similar situation to what happened to them in their developmental years.
Yeah.
And so the pattern just repeats.